Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. What's going on? What's going on? Good morning out there. Good morning. Happy Wednesday morning. Welcome to Good Morning Be Honest. BS with Be Honest here on YouTube. That's me. What's going on? Good morning, Be Honest. I am Nikki Be Honest. Out here live on YouTube, running my little morning talk show. You can find us on YouTube at BS with Be Honest. Goes out to Spotify podcasts, Apple Podcasts, etc. You can find my music. You just heard a little bit of it. I refer to it as heavy blues metal. That was Hype Train by Nikki B. Hannas. You can find it nikkibehonest.com, nikkibehonest.bandcamp.com, Nikki B. Hannas on all streaming services. What's going on? 1 minute in, there's the plugs. Fuck yeah. The premise of this show is that I like to get up and take a nice walk, come out here, read some good stuff, talk to the people, go lift some weights, go about my business. So that's where I'm at today. I totally missed the show yesterday. Shit happens. Sometimes I suck, but that's okay. We're back here on a fine Wednesday, and sure enough, I got my walk in, did a bunch of reading. Now I'm going to talk to the people. What am I talking about today? I said something the other day. I was talking about procrastination, and sometimes procrastination can be a good thing, though typically procrastination is in fact a bad thing, and procrastination tends to lead to the proverbial someday. Someday I'll get it together. Someday it'll be right. Well, there's a flip side to that, where if we constantly think of someday in a negative way, it works against us. But there is a flip side. That flip side seems to me, from reading lots of Napoleon Hill, lots of Neville Goddard, lots of James Allen, Joseph Murphy, these types of people, the more manifesting books and writers and ways of thought. The flip side of that is that having faith in that one day, that proverbial one day, it will come. The proverbial one day, everything will be in order. And it seems to me that as long as we do the right things, what's the fucking Napoleon Hill thing? I love this book, Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. And it's basically decisive, intentional, unceasing action. And then just believe you'll get there, ignoring the details of the macro, focusing on the details of the micro, and having faith. The one thing I learned from Neville Goddard, it's imagining that point, imagine that proverbial one day from a feeling of the thing fulfilled. That's a pretty powerful thing. So I just wanted to check myself on something I had said. Sometimes I listen back to these things, and most times when I listen back to myself, just to make sure it's decent, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to review the footage. Always review the footage. Sports teams do it, so I got to do it. But a lot of times I'll go back and re-listen, recheck out some of the shit that I was spewing out here. And it's like, damn, maybe I wanted to unpack that a little more. Maybe I wanted to augment that or add on to that. So that's worth saying. Today, what I'm thinking about, I found this YouTube channel. In my readings and listenings when I walk, I like to listen to stuff too. Oh shit, I didn't check the audio. I bet you I'm 3.5 minutes in. Yo, what's up, bull? What's up, my man EMP? Can you hear me? I didn't even fucking check my audio. I got right into it. I knew I was missing something. Let me check just to make damn sure. Though I always appreciate the flex emojis. You know what I'm saying, big dog? All right, so let me check real quick. Am I live? You know what I'm saying, big dog? I am live, and I'm fucking cracking on the microphone, too. That's okay. As I walk and I read, I like to listen to a lot of things, too. And I found this fucking channel called, on YouTube, Wisdom Warriors. And it seems like he's a guy that's greatly influenced by the classics, referring to the Greeks and the Romans and the canonical old school Western tradition. I like that. Slightly choppy? Yeah, it's probably because I'm too close to the fucking mic. I get too close to the mic and it pops. That's all right. We'll figure it out. I'm figuring it out right now. So anyway, I found this YouTube channel, Wisdom Warriors, and he had the video was called Daimon Maxing. And I'm like, what the fuck is Daimon Maxing? And the basic idea of it, and right as soon as I clicked it, I could tell he was real into the Greek shit, real into the old school Roman, like classicalism stuff. And I like that shit a lot. The idea of Daimon Maxing is the idea of wanting something with a burning desire, a quote unquote unifying life project. Seems, the premise that, and I've talked about this before when I was a kid, before I started drinking and getting high and fucking around, there was something really cool, really compelling, like a lit fire of sorts, that passion, that zest, that zeal, you know what I mean? Like that fucking get some type shit when I started playing guitar and learning how to play fucking metal. So his idea is that, the lit fire happens when we're young. Then as we quote unquote mature, that gets extinguished and we become sloth. We become fucking lackadaisical and disheartened, jaded. The the classic example of the old man who just gets burned the fuck out and loses that rigor, loses that fire. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that's definitely pathologically going around right now. A lot of people. I find myself, and as I think about it in these terms, when I have that proclivity to get fucked up and tripping on myself, that's what it is. Because when you're really fucking hungry for something, like the birds were saying in fucking 2017, 2018, dude, a hungry dog eats. When you're fired the fuck up, that conquering spirit possesses you. That seems to be what the Daimon is. I never heard of that. I never heard of the Daimon before in all my musings and readings in the Romans and Greeks, all that shit. It's basically like an energized emotional desire and ambition. And I found that interesting. It's funny because this guy, like, everything is maxing to this guy. So I guess, is that a symptom of being what they call chronically online? I'm Daimon maxing. I'm story maxing. Like, what, bro? That shit, it's funny just to listen to because it's like, damn, I can take this guy real serious on one hand. And on the other hand, it's like, well, we're gonna stoic max today. Like, bro, give it a fucking rest. Give it a fucking rest. I love a lot of people talk about the metaphor of life as a video game. And it's a pretty powerful metaphor as someone who grew up playing video games. We want to level up. We want to fight the next boss. We want to beat the final boss. We want to get all the side quests and do all the characterizing and fucking all that shit. But I don't know. It's just such a funny contrast to me. Daimon maxing. If the daemon is a Greek concept, one of like a mythological Greek philosophical concept, just to have that directly next to maxing, it's like, bro, come on. Hey, he's making a living off YouTube and I'm not. I'm fucking missing daily videos. So what the fuck can I say? But in any event, it fucking made me look at what a daemon is. And even just hearing it briefly, the idea that a daemon is something within each man that can tap into virtue and hunger and passion and just fire. The idea of an ignited fire inside oneself that just goes out and conquers. That's pretty instantly relatable. It made me think of a concept I'd heard called Thumos. Thumos being another Greek word, which is something similar. But I'm not so well versed in it. So I looked it up real quick, and what I got, when I went right to Wikipedia, there's a Homer, who did the Iliad and the Odyssey, who people don't even know if Homer was a person or if he's just an attributed author to the Iliad and the Odyssey, both of which, this is where I'm an asshole, the Iliad and the Odyssey are total classics, like regarded as the classic pieces of Greek literature and the epic poem and, the fucking literary tradition in the West. I've never read either of them in full, but I've read a bunch of stuff about them. I'm like that with the Bible too. Like, what a dickhead I am. Never read the full Bible. I'm very illiterate in the Bible, but give me something about the Bible and I'll fucking read it all day long. It's like people who fucking have watched the Lord of the Rings movies, but have never read the books. But there's so much just lore and background, like videos on YouTube. Warhammer 40K is the same way. Like that shit. So it's an interesting phenomenon to me. One that I indulge in. For one, Homer is extraordinarily difficult to read, as any epic poems are. Whether that's Beowulf or Dante's and the Divine Comedy, Dante Alighieri. The Canterbury Tales by Chaucer, Paradise Lost by Milton. It's so funny. It's probably just because it's easier. There's a less of a barrier to entry to the material if you're reading supplementary material about it. Because, yeah, Milton is not easy to read. None of this shit is. But in any event, I started looking up the idea of Thumos as it relates to the daemon. And to use Wikipedia, the Homer way says, in Homer's works, Thumos was used to denote emotions, desire, or an internal urge. Thumos was a permanent possession of living man, to which his thinking and feeling belonged. When a Homeric hero is under emotional stress, he may externalize his Thumos and converse with or scold it. Yeah, that's a cool fucking idea, I think. To engage with one's Thumos, orient oneself to fucking ambition. That's the shit I'm all about, dude. As I read all these self-development, personal development, self-help, whatever you want to call it, all this stuff that I'm really into in my life right now. Thumos and the Daimon seems to be this is the fuck. We've been talking about this shit forever. We collectively as people. It's the same ideas, basically. That's what the Wikipedia of Homer's use of it says. Plato also is apparently a big originator of the idea of Thumos. To use Wikipedia again on Plato's use of Thumos, Plato's Phaedrus and his later work, The Republic, discussed Thumos as one of the three constituent parts of the human psyche. In Phaedrus, Plato depicts Logos as a charioteer, driving the two horses Eros and Thumos. Eros being erotic love and the base sex instinct, and Thumos in this sense being spiritedness. So they equate Thumos to spiritedness with an inner fire, with the fucking inner hunger. That's energy. that's the energy thing exactly. High fucking energy. Go out and get some. Like that's what it is to me, man. And he brings it down. And I think it's interesting too that if Plato's using Thumos and Eros as two base things, which is, I guess, like mental and physical, really, it's being guided by Logos being the truth in all types of rhetoric study, and strictly in rhetoric and rhetorical discussions. Logos is presented as the facts. When you transmute it from being strictly like a mathematical rhetoric thing to actual life, Logos is like the overall guiding truth principles. And that's what it's the charioteer, the two horses, the two driving forces led by a, what do you call it? Like a fucking, it's the guiding principle. Super interesting stuff. Thumos being one of them. Wikipedia goes on to say, Plato suggested we have three parts of our soul, which in combination make us better in our destined vocation, and is a hidden basis for developing our innate ideas. Thumos may draw from this to strengthen man with our reasoning. This tripartite division is as follows: reason, which is thoughts, reflections, and questionings; spiritedness, aka Thumos, which is ego, glory, honor; and then desires, both natural, such as food, drink, and sex, versus unnatural, money and power. Very interesting when I hear, what's this guy? Was this a YouTube channels, dude? Mr. Maxing, Daimon Maxing from Wisdom Warriors, because in his video, it stuck out to me too, because there's a power there, even if it's kind of like, cringe. Is that what they call it? It's cringe. Daimon Maxing. It just sounds so fucking lame to me. Max this, max that. But in any event, he says that lifting weights is a ceremony of the daemon. Fuck yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a feeling. There's a feeling there. He says your daemon is strongest in the morning. That's right. That calling, carpe diem, something he was referencing, seize the day. That fucking just get some. Like I keep saying that, but that's what it is, to me at least. And I wrote this too. He equates this whole idea to story maxing. This guy maxes everything, bro. It's fucking crazy. I want to see his stats. I want to see what his stats are. His KD is online. But like if he's describing the idea of daemon as something that is lifting weights as a ceremony of the daemon, dude, I feel that. I got this playlist on my phone when I'm fucking in the gym, and it's just nothing but Warbringer and Havoc. It's my Warvick playlist. And it's like, dude, going right from fucking Havoc, give me liberty and give me death. I am the state, merchant of death, right into Warbringer, Black Sun, Black Moon, Total War, fucking Outer Reaches, shit. Living Weapon, like that fucking moment when that rep is just hitting right, the fucking blood is just right, the energy is just like, if that's what the daemon is, yeah, I like to be in touch with that motherfucker, because that's some real shit. And it made me think of Thumos. If Thumos is that fucking like, I keep looking at it, the spiritedness of it, there's a relationship between one's daemon and one's Thumos, and I found that so interesting just listening to it, because that's where we're all, that for me at least, I mean, that's what I'm trying to tap into and stay tapped into. That's what all these little mini things, these little small things throughout the day creates this cohesive whole. And that cohesive whole needs to have a relationship with these bigger ideas, you know? And there's a place for stoicism, which is objectively unemotional about things and the way one handles things. But then there's a time and a place and a context to just tap in. So the question becomes, what are we tapping into? I thought that was awesome. And then all these things in the Greek words that we can, that I can barely pronounce and probably pronouncing incorrectly, it all made me think of the idea that I'd read a little bit about called Kleos. Now, Kleos, the first time I heard about Kleos was when I attempted to read this book called The 24-Hour Greek Hero. I'm sorry, The 24-Hour Ancient Greek Hero, which is written by Gregory Nagy, who was a Harvard professor. And it's basically each chapter is an hour. So it's a 24-chapter, 24-hour course on the Greek hero. And it's this fucking big-ass tome of a book. And he's a Harvard professor. And it's like his whole course in fucking one thing. And it's crazy. I like when I read things that are too hard for me. Because a lot of the things I read tend to be, I don't want to say too easy and repetitive. But, there's a place for repetition, especially insofar as self-development and helping oneself and how to live, There was a quote from C.S. Lewis that I found the other day, and he said, this is in Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, and he's quoting Dr. Johnson. I don't know who Dr. Johnson is, but according to C.S. Lewis, Dr. Johnson says that people need to be reminded more often than they need to be instructed. And that stands the truth to me. It seems to be self-evident as far as I can tell. So back to Kleos, even though I can't, and again, this 24-hour Greek hero book is all about the Iliad and the Odyssey, which I've never read. It's almost like I'm just preparing to read these two things, which I have multiple copies of sitting in my big-ass bookshelf. I'll get there one day, that proverbial one day. But, yeah, Kleos. Kleos is cool. It fucking, according to Google, a quick Google search for concise defining right now, it says, in ancient Greek culture, Kleos generally refers to fame, glory, or renown. It's often used in the context of heroic deeds and the legacy a person leaves behind, especially as it's celebrated in song and poetry. Achieving Kleos was a primary goal for heroes, as it ensured their name and accomplishments would be remembered for generations. Kleos, Thumos, and Daimon. These are good fucking ideals, I think. I think these are good things to be aware of. It, even though the bull says story maxing, I will never use that term. I think that is so corny, but I've said many times, even on here, life is seemingly defined by the stories we tell ourselves, and how we maneuver it seems to be determined by the relationship we have with our own story, the awareness of such or lack thereof. That's what fills the void of meaningful activity in 2025 in modern late-stage capitalism society. Yeah, motherfuckers are wandering and lost and fucked up and medicated and depressed and shit because their stories fucking suck. That's what it is. So how do we correct that? To me, I've been a strong advocate of reading. I mean, that's something I promote. Shit, if I were to fucking sit here and soapbox about things I do promote, I promote lifting some fucking weights. I promote reading books. I promote fucking doing creative things. Those three things it's changing the story of my life. For me, my personal context, it all hinges on when I stopped drinking, when I stopped living in that fog. I mean, fucking hey, why does someone just exist like that? Why is someone always high? Why is someone always drinking? Why is somebody always going from thrill to thrill to thrill to fucking, just sitting around with a six pack? Their story sucks. At the end of the day, that's just what they do. This is just how it is. And that's how I fucking was, at least. Maybe it'll be interesting if I switch from whiskey to vodka tonight. Maybe if I get a bag of powder, it'll be extra interesting. That's all contingent on one's fucking story. You know what I'm saying? The story is much better informed by higher ideals and higher concepts. Thumos, Kleos, and fucking Daimon. Daimon being that force that you interact with. Thumos being the high energy, high spiritedness to your endeavors, and Kleos being the pursuit of fucking glory, legacy, in other words. That shit's righteous. Now, there's a quote from this Gregory Nagy book that I thought was pretty cool, too. He uses Achilles as an example. And even as I'm reading this book, the whole name of Achilles in the Greek language. It's when you break down the etymology of it, like each syllable means certain things, and there's like this really crazy, super heady, like I couldn't even describe it, but the fucking name reconstitutes his meaning and his role as a hero down to the syllable, like on a syllable language driven level. It's fucking nuts. So I need to get my studying up. Like I said before, I would love to just be able to be a scholar. Shit, once in my life I thought I would be a scholar. So it goes, baby. In any event, Gregory Nagy says about Kleos that Achilles chooses Kleos over life itself, and he owes his heroic identity to this Kleos, to his glory, to his fame, to his renown. So we end up where we started, he says, with the hero Achilles. He chooses Kleos over life itself, and he owes his heroic identity to this Kleos. He achieves this major goal of the hero, to have his identity permanently put on record through Kleos. For us, a common way to express this goal is to say, you'll go down in history. For the earliest periods of ancient Greece, the equivalent of this kind of history is Kleos, committed to the epic song of heroes of old. That's badass. Then he goes, this is funny. I love the cross referencing of like different books and literature, different levels of English class, so to speak. He says, in J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye, Holden Caulfield is given this lesson by the teacher. The teacher says to Holden Caulfield, the mark of the immature man is that he wants to die nobly for a cause, while the mark of a mature man is that he wants to live humbly for one. Such is a great existential moral quandary many of us face, or don't, because we don't commit to shit. Got no Thumos out here, not doing nothing. Very interesting. And there was an interview with Nagy that I listened to he had a pretty cool quote, I thought. You know, the idea of why is this even important? Like, bro, there's bills to pay. We're waiting on fucking World War III. We're mad at the Orange Man. We're mad at the New York Communists. We're mad at this. We're mad at that. We're pissed at this. We're pissed at that. So why is this shit important? And his answer was that form and function in the age of heroes, in the age of men. He says that heroes and gods are dysfunctional too. So we should learn from them. And I thought that was awesome. So anyway, back to the Daimon. I'm just going to reiterate this Daimon idea one time, and then I'm going to fucking get out of here. I got shit to do. People also ask on Google, what does Daimon mean? The Google definition of Daimon says, in ancient Greek religion and mythology, a daemon was imagined to be a lesser deity or guiding spirit. The guiding spirit. The AI overview says, and then Google goes into like psychological views. The AI just starts to kind of spiral when you hit it with stuff. In psychology, particularly within the Jungian psychology, the daemon represents a powerful, often unconscious force that drives individuation, the process of becoming a whole and integrated person. It's cool, man. It's a great fucking idea. I never heard of this before. Daimon. Not to be confused with demon. Or I guess the alternative spelling of demon. Daemon. Because that's a whole different motherfucking thing. Allegedly. It's an inner compelling drive, sometimes described as a spiritual force or inner genius that pushes individuals towards self-discovery and self-realization. Yeah, pretty fucking cool, man. In essence, the daemon in psychology represents a powerful, often enigmatic force within the psyche that can both challenge and guide individuals towards a more complete and meaningful life. So, hell yeah. The gist of it all is to have high energy, high intensity, and high desire in one's endeavors. Fucking A right. Interface with that shit. Approach it with an energy of Thumos. Thumos rising out in this motherfucker. Yeah, I think this shit's so cool. Wisdom Warriors calls it being convicted in an ideal. That's right. Living a life convicted in an ideal and fucking working towards that with high energy and high intensity. I love that shit. Yeah, so that's what the fuck I was thinking of today. That's what the fuck I was thinking about today, man. It was super captivating stuff. But then at the end of the day, it's like, what do you really do with it? You know, I guess try your best to live it out. Try your best to live it out. Know when you suck and know when you're having these internal conflicts and when you relent, when you don't. Just keep fucking hammering. That's what it all comes down to. I'm that's where I'm at with this shit, dude. And to end it with today, I got two things. I'll just do one thing. I'm fucking running late. Chronically running late. Oh, it sucks. Benny time, some could say. But anyway, made me think of a quote I found from C.S. Lewis. And again, reading through Mere Christianity, which is a classic C.S. Lewis work that I never read, but I'm quite enjoying it. In the chapter on Christian morality, there's a quote from him I like. It says, "For there are two things inside me, competing with the human self, which I must try to become. They are the animal self and the diabolical self. The diabolical self is the worst of the two." Now, if I didn't stutter and my voice didn't crack, that'll be a lot more meaningful. So let me say it again. So saith C.S. Lewis. "For there are two things inside me, competing with the human self, which I must try to become. They are the animal self and the diabolical self. The diabolical self is the worst of the two." And he capitalizes diabolical self. So, fucking A. The war within rages on. The world keeps turning, man. So let's fucking go out and get some. Anyway, this has been a fine, fine Wednesday edition of BS with Hannas. Good morning, Hannas. That's me. You can find it on live on YouTube at some point in the morning. BS with Hannas. It goes out to Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Audible, so on and so forth. You can find my music, heavy blues, fucking metal. NikkiBHannas.com, NikkiBHannas.bandcamp.com, NikkiBHannas on all streaming services. Let's go get some. Fucking happy Wednesday. Peace, one love. Keep it real. My man. Cheers, yo.